morning, Kathy here from Kathy's Cute Creations. Today we are going to work on the quilts. We're going to quilt each individual block, whatever size you have, we're going to quilt it. You can start from the inside or you can start from the outside. It's going to be your preference. I have my machine threaded. I have my bobbin in. Another thing that I wanted to let you know is if you have, which is called Wonder Invisible Thread, 100% nylon. Let me give you an idea. You could use that also. All right. Now, I'm going to, before I get started, let me tell you, when I went to thread my machine, unbeknownst to me, this little, I call this the jacket. I have this over the top of the thread so that the thread doesn't constantly just start falling off of the spool, because that's what it will do. And this right here has a little snag in it on the side. I don't know if you can see it because it's, I'm going to bring it up to you and show you. It literally broke. I don't know if you can see the broken pieces. Okay. See how it's broke right there? The little pieces are broke. And so right off the bat, that snagged every time it tried to unwind. And all I was doing was pulling it down here to thread it. That's it. Nothing else. So I had to get into my stash and get another one of these. And at the bottom of my spool, and I'm going to show you, not on that spool, but this one here. This is another spool. And I'm just going to use it to wrap on this spool just to hold my thread together. But at the bottom, what I did to keep it from jumping up, because that's what's going to happen, is I took it at the bottom like this, and I folded this like that. And of course, now the bottom's bigger. And then laid it on so that it's laying like this, and it's caught, so it won't, this won't pull up, and the thread will come off real easy. All right, that's what I did, just to let you know. And then let me begin showing you my foot. So this is the foot that I'm going to use to start out with. Now this is the one that goes with my machine. You want to use the one that goes with your machine. This is the one that I use the most. I like the way it handles. I like the way I can see the needle coming. I don't like the ones where it's the full circle because I can't really see what the needle's doing, and I want to be able to see it. All right, so let's, for the needle, I'm using Superior Top Stitch 9040. You can use 9040 or 9080. I have both. I'm going to start out with the 9040 to see how that works with the thread. And let's go ahead and get started. I have my foot on here, and let's, the main reason for doing the practice pieces is because we want to figure out what our tension is. Now, my machine will try and create its own tension automatically, but if I don't like it, I can adjust it, okay? Because that's the way this machine is. So the first rule of thumb is after you've threaded it, you're gonna hold on to your thread before you put down your needle. The reason is you want to bring your needle up so it can bring your bottom bobbin up. And normally it will bring it up in a loop. And do I even see it? I don't think I see it. I'm not quite sure if that's it or not. Yes, there it is. So we have both pieces. I don't know if you can see both pieces here. I don't know what this is. And I use my grips when I do this because it's easier to hold on to all this. Then I take both threads, put them underneath the little foot there. I'm just trying to get them out of the way. And then I begin by going up and down a couple of times in the same spot. Don't move, just keep it in the same spot. Now, my machine starts out with the tension number 4. And then on this machine, I have to select this foot, which will automatically make it go up and down. You can change the length if you want, but it really doesn't make any difference because this just goes up and down. Let me take this off, put that on the table. And then all I do is hold onto this thread so that it doesn't go back down up underneath. And it is very slippery. As a matter of fact, I had to use these grips to thread my machine. Let's see if I can get a hold of it. Here we go. Okay. And just go up and down. Notice my stuff didn't move. Now, don't be in a hurry to clip your threads yet, because if you do, they're just going to go right back down underneath, okay? And not adhere. So we're going to do that. Alrighty, I tried to adjust my light a little bit. So I'm going to hold on to this thread, and I'm just going to move along this wiggly line here. We're going to see how we're doing. All right. Let me go a little bit more so I can see the back. I mean, it's going to be hard to see it, but... And then just go in place a couple times before you take it off. I'm going to go ahead and cut it and take a look at it. And then we're going to put it on this table over here so everybody can see it. Okay, so you can see where it went. Right now my stitch is really, really small, so I'm going to make my tension a little looser so I can move it along faster. And let's see if we can even see the back side. Hold on one second for me. Alrighty, here's the back side. And you can't even see the stitching whatsoever, which is pretty. Every now and then you can see it looks a little shiny, but other than that, you can't see it. Okay, so if you make any mistakes, you're not going to see it on the back. All right, now, if for any reason you decide that you just cannot use this thread because it's too slippery, then you can always change and use cotton thread. You don't have to use this thread. I'm just trying this thread out for the first time to see if I could use it. So I'm going to go ahead and start on the star. I've taken my tension and I moved it from 4 to 6 to see if that will help me any. I'm going to find out here in a minute. Alrighty, there's the star. If you can try to ignore the white, you can rub all that out. But there it is. And it doesn't have to be perfect. We're just rolling it over to look at the back of it. You can actually feel where it's raised, but you can't really see it. And I'm not having any problems with the back of the fabric at all. But that did make it, to me, it made it a little bit better in my tension. I'm going to go ahead and move my tension up one more, up to 7. Now I'm working on the circle right here. And you can go right or left, whatever your preference is. I normally go right, so I'm going to go left this time. And it looks like I'm trying to figure out, did my thread break? Yes, my thread broke on that one, so I'm not quite sure. Or maybe it's my, oh, it wrapped my, it grabbed my thread and wrapped it. That's what it did. All right, let's take a look at it. I thought it had broke, but when you look at it, this is the one thread right here. And this one here went up underneath there, so just take it and pull it because it's so soft. See, there you go. That's it. And then I just clip that, that's all. Let me get my clippers, I'll show you. And I go right down. And you got to be careful when you clip this because you don't want to clip your fabric. So just pull up on it and kind of make your scissors cut it. You know, saw it back and forth a little bit to cut the thread. And that's it. So let's go ahead and we'll do some more practicing and then we're going to get to the other color. So while I'm doing this circle, let me say something for you. So let's say that you don't have a bed like this, some kind of flat bed. That's fine. I have a couple of sewing machines that don't have a bed. And so what I do is I take a stack of books, doesn't make any difference, and I make them level with my sewing machine. And then when I make them level, they're used as if they were my table. Whether they have you have a jacket, like a piece of fabric wrapped around it. I mean, not fabric, because you wouldn't use your own fabric. A jacket meaning it's got a paper cover on it. You can take the cover off, you can leave it on. It doesn't make any difference. But that helps give you a larger spot for this fabric to lay over, because you don't want your fabric to lay off of your sewing machine. That's where you have pull and drag and that kind of thing. Now it helps, in this case, if your sewing machine has a needle up and a needle down. Otherwise, you're going to be really careful with your foot, or if you don't do it that way, be careful with your handle, because you're going to use that to get your needle to come up. Here's the trickiest part right here. And lots of people will say, oh my gosh, you can't go up and down. I mean, you can't lock your fabric in a spot. But I'll tell you what, I've started all over and did start and stops since I've started quilting. So I've never had an issue with it. But then it's straight line quilting. And I'll tell you what we'll do. We're going to do a fancy stitch on my sewing machine. I'm going to show you how to do that on here because you can do that too. You don't have to do all freehand. And then let me show you what I use, which I feel is very comfortable. And I actually got these from the Gemini. And I will show you. If you've seen me do any kind of quilting, you've already seen these. And these are my little hand because they grip the fabric for me. And I don't want to be pulling on the fabric because remember, this is t-shirt. And hopefully I've got that camera high enough. Let me see if my hand is in the way. Yes, my hand is definitely in the way. So let me get a little bit higher with the camera. I think this will keep my hand out of the way. Let's see here. Yeah. And I always like to come forward whenever I'm doing my quilting. And I just take my time. Now, let's say I don't want to go backwards like that. I mean, yes, you can, but you're doing it blind. Then you would just turn your fabric around and come on down. Nothing says you can't maneuver your fabric. I know a lot of the quilting that you watch on YouTube and things like that, they tell you don't turn it, leave it one way and go with it. And you can do that too. It does not make a bit of difference. And you can go over your stitching, which is what I did. I just went right over that circle because of this back fabric and this thread. You're not going to see it, so I'm just going to go on over it. And then just go right here in place, and then cut it. And there's that circle. So let's go ahead and do a decorative stitch off of my machine. Okay, so I'm using this square as my sample here. And I have put back a regular foot. Now this is an open-toed foot so that I can still see it. I went ahead and have my feed dogs risen. They're normally down when you do freehand quilting because you want to be able to move the machine. I'm not moving the machine. The machine's moving just like it was regular sewing. I'm going to choose a design. So I'm just going to choose a really easy one, which is the blanket stitch. And then based on that, it wants to know the width and the length. So I'm going to make it big because if it make it tiny, we'll never be able to see anything. So I'm going to make my width. Let's just go a 6.5. And for my length, I want to spread it out. So I'm going to do a 4. And let's see what we got here. Okay. Okay, so it's going to go on the outside. And when you lock this in place, which is what I'm doing here, but because of the way it's stitching, it normally goes up and down 3 times. But because this thread is so slick, I'm doing it more than once. So I've done it twice now. I go ahead and let it do its stitch. And then I lock it in place again. And then I'm just going to sew. Now all I'm doing, the line is just so that I'll go straight down with my sewing machine, that's all. I didn't line it up with the line, and I'll show you here when I get done. You'll know what I'm talking about. I'm just coming right off the fabric. It doesn't make any difference. Remember, this is our practice sheet. So when I get here, I'm going to go ahead and I'm going to lock it into place. And then to help it out, what I'm going to do, because I'm off the edge now, I'm not into the fabric, and it doesn't make any difference. This is our practice sheet, so we can figure out what to do. I'm taking my stitch, which is this blanket stitch, and I'm actually going to take it back to my normal stitch, which is just a straight stitch. Okay, and then I'm going to do the straight stitch and I'm going to lock it into place. So I'll go forward and backwards and forward, and it's just going out here on the batting, so it's not even in the design itself. Cut it, and we're going to take a look at it. There's that stitch right there. And I came straight off. I'm going to flip it over so you can see it. And see, it's still hidden. I mean, you can see a little bit of it here in the blue, but you can't see the whole thing. It goes from here all the way down. And like I said, you can't even see it. So that's the good thing about this thread, this poly filament thread. Or monofilament, excuse me. I don't know why I keep saying poly. Probably because it says Monty Poly, that's why. But that's that stitch. Let's try another stitch and we'll go this way. Now on this one, I'm going to lock it into place first with my straight stitch. Then I'm going to choose whatever I want. So let's go with the blind hem stitch. And it's a stretch stitch. Okay, let's do that one. And I think I want to make it a little, no, I think it might be good as it is. The length is only 0.2 and the width is not really, I'm trying to look at that foot. It gives me an option of a foot. Let me see if I've got that foot. Hold on, I should have it. Now I try to avoid putting a foot on midway here, but let's see if this is going to work or not. Okay, let's check it out here and see what does it do. Oh, let's see here. Go a little further with it. Now I'm only following straight down the foot there. I'm gonna go ahead and go off of the fabric like before so I can take a look at that stitch. Let's back it up here. And then it does just a straight drop to lock. I'm going to show you this foot that it recommended I use. It's called the R foot. Alrighty, so I started up here at the corner and it came down and then it looped over to the left. Then it came down and it looped over to the left and it came down. I don't know if you can see that or not. But let's turn it over here a little bit and see if we can see it here. I can't even see it at all. Here's the stitching right here. My goodness. I'm amazed that the stitching doesn't show. That's just fantastic. Good thing it's all that busy stuff. So if you ever make any mistakes, you're never going to see them. Let's just go ahead and continue.